I'm going to say a few words about the word dialogue, because it's a word that I've liked all my life and I've used all my working life. I think I like it because it's got this connotation of connection between people, and also something about equality of regard between the people who are connected by dialogue. So first of all, the first thing I'd like to say is that the word dialogue is made up of two Greek words, dia, which means across or through, and logos, which means word. So there's this sort of idea of words crossing and recrossing between two or more people, speaking and responding. That's dialogue. Now the kind of bits or the elements of dialogue that I'm interested in, that I have been interested in, are first of all the ideas in Plato, and of course Plato's character, if you like, Socrates, who was a historical character, but Plato uses Socrates in his dialogues, and Socrates always kind of buttonholes people and kind of asks them questions about what their thinking is. So that aspect of dialogue is about being challenged in one's basic thinking, how one makes meaning to oneself. And the second connotation or element of dialogue that I like is the one introduced by Martin Buber in his book I and Thou. And Buber is very interested in the meeting of persons, the encounter of persons as persons, where each person is treating the other person as a person and not as an object. So that's something about encounter, something about meeting. Relational, it's relational. And then the third element is the one I take from Paulo Freire in his books, Pedagogy of the Oppressed, Cultural Action for Freedom. And Freire is interested in really more than two people. He's interested in lots of people, but talking with each other and together, collaboratively, exploring reality, exploring the world, with a view to understanding it, and then together taking action on the world to change it. So there's something about knowing, something about relatedness and relationships, and something about collaborative action to change things. Those are the three elements of dialogue for me. What can I say about dialogue? The purposes of dialogue in my mind are probably three. One is that there's a search for convergence. So people coming from different places, from different perspectives, different way of looking at the world, but they're looking for where they might have ideas or thoughts or positions in common. That's convergence. But the other equally important, perhaps more important thing about dialogue is that they're looking for ways in which they differ and wanting to identify those, not fudge them, not gloss them over, but clarify them, identify them, clarify them, and perhaps accept that there really are differences and they're not convergences. And then you're trying to clarify them, define them clearly, and if possible, value them. And I suppose there's a third element in dialogue, which is this aim towards thoughtful action, or I sometimes call it in my psychotherapy work, I sometimes call it, believe it or not, good aggression. The feminist movement might refer to it as assertiveness. So those are the three aims as I see them. But I also think there can be problems with dialogue, and one is to idealise it. I don't think that dialogue solves everything or is the key to everything. I think it's a key to a lot. And the second thing is that one of the most interesting challenges to the idea of dialogue came from a woman who I very much admire called Tracy Esoglu, speaking at a conference in the early 1990s. And Tracy said, well, that dialogue often glosses things over that are very real for women. She said that women inhabit often the domain of the mess, or feel themselves to be in a kind of almost master-slave relationship where they really aren't allowed to speak from the real experiences and awarenesses that they have. So clearly that's a problem. I think it probably often also is a problem for men, that the way in which a dialogue is conducted may leave real experiences of some of the participants out of the picture altogether, and then of course it wouldn't really be a dialogue at all.